I am so sick of people trying to respond on social media and out there trying to say, there were no explosions, it was done by fires. Well, there you have it, folks. You just saw and heard from the street recording explosions, detonations that basically destroyed the columns and just brought the thing right down in its own footprint. I also ask you guys to go to rtrtruthmedia.blogspot.com and check out the article that we just posted this morning from Foreign Policy Journal, basically giving you a breakdown of the details. You know, this is something that you have to really watch, because there's a lot of disinformation specialists out there that will seed the streams of people that are talking about this, claiming that there were no explosions and all of that. And it's so not true. We just published this. Please, I ask you to go and check this out. It's entitled World Trade Center 7, Case Far From Over. Don't be fooled.
Over the last nearly 7 years, the work on clearing and rebuilding Ground Zero has continued, and new evidence has emerged which supports the official theory that fire brought Tower 7 down. This is some of the only footage of the south face of the building, and it shows the whole side engulfed in smoke. Until now, most people have only seen the other sides, where there was much less obvious damage. Richard Rotans had to assess the damage to Tower 7, and crucially, he saw the south face just after the north tower had collapsed, slamming debris into it.
We're looking at the upper floors of Tower 7. You can see columns gone, floors collapsed, heavy smoke coming out, and fire. The upper floors were an inferno.
And then he had to go into that building to assess it.
You could hear the building creak above us. You could hear things fall. You could hear the fire burning. You could see columns just hanging from the upper floors, gaping holes in the floors up above us. There was an elevator car that was blown out of its shaft and it was down the hall. There was an elevator car that was blown out of its shaft and it was down the hall. This is, you know, the massive impact from the fall of Tower 1 onto Tower 7.
Yeah, here's one of the guys who can tell you I'm okay, all right? Here, hold on. You want to call your mother or something?
To be right now. You gotta get back. You know that. You gotta get back.
All right. Don't worry about me. You need to make calls right now.
All right. That's that. You gotta get back.
All right. Don't worry about me. You need to make calls right now.
All right. That's
You want to call your mother or something?
to be right now.
Here right now, just off Broadway by City Hall with Michael Hess, who is the city's corporation counsel. Mr. Hess, you were trapped in, I believe, 7 World Trade Center. Go ahead, sir.
Yes, I was. I was up in the emergency management center on the 23rd floor, and when all the power went out in the building, another gentleman and I walked down to the 8th floor where there was an explosion, and we've been trapped on the 8th floor with smoke, thick smoke all around us for about an hour and a half. But the New York Fire Department, as terrific as they are, just came and got us out.
Why did you happen to be at that particular place when the explosions took place?
Well, the emergency management center is where city officials go when there is any emergency such as this one.
And of course the collapses since then. We're going to bring more of those to you now. Barry Jennings, you're on the 8th floor. You work for the city housing department. Explain to me the moment of impact.
Well, me and Mr. Hess, the corporation counsel, were on the 23rd floor. I told him we got to get out of here. We started walking down the stairs. We made it to the 8th floor. Big explosion. Blew us back into the 8th floor. And I turned to Hess. I said, this is it. We're dead. We're not going to make it out of here. I took a fire extinguisher and I bust the window out. That's when this gentleman here heard my cries for help. This gentleman right here, and he kept saying, stand by, somebody's coming to get you. They couldn't get to us for an hour because they couldn't find us.
You thought that was it?
I thought we're dead. I was trapped in there for several hours. I was trapped in there when both buildings came down. All this time, I'm hearing all types of explosions. All this time, I'm hearing explosions.
It has been a mystery since 9/11. Why did World Trade Center Building 7 collapse nearly 7 hours after the Twin Towers fell? Was it diesel fuel in the building? Or planted explosives? A controlled demolition of government offices, as conspiracy theorists allege in films like Loose Change. A team of scientists and engineers authorized by Congress says there's only one answer, and it's conclusive.
The collapse of World Trade Center 7 was primarily due to fires. This is the first time that we're aware of that a building over 15 stories tall has collapsed primarily due to fire.
Shyam Sunder, the study's lead investigator, says fires ignited by falling debris from the towers burned so hot they created a phenomenon in which steel and concrete floors failed, causing floors to buckle and a key column to cave.
For the first time, we have shown that fire can induce a progressive collapse.
Fires burned out of control on 6 of 10 floors in Building 7, where New York City's multi-million-dollar emergency command center had recently been built. And because the city's water main was cut when the towers fell, sprinkler systems in the building did not work. Still, conspiracy theorists and others were not swayed by the new findings.
I hear quite a number of bare assertions here.
Investigators say they did consider certain so-called conspiracy theories, but none held up.
Alternative theories are really, none of them have been found to be credible.
And the whole time you're hearing boom, 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 boom. So I think I know an explosion when I hear it, you know. I was real close to Building 7 when it fell down, and there's a lot of eyewitness testimony down there hearing explosions. I didn't see any reason for that building to fall down the way it did, and a lot of guys should be saying the same thing.
The Red Cross rep was like, he goes over and he says, well, you got to stay behind this line because they're thinking about bringing the building down. They didn't say what building, they just said bringing a building down. So we're like, okay, you know, we'll take their word for it, you know, we'll stay behind the line. And he went over and he talked to one of the, through all the commotion, he goes over and he asked one of the Red Cross, or one of the firefighters, what was going on. I guess, I don't know if he got an answer or not. He came back over with his hand over the radio, and it sounded like a countdown. And at the last few seconds, he took his hand off, and you heard 3, 2, 1, and he was just saying, just run for your life, just run for your life. And then it was like another 2, 3 seconds, you heard explosions. Like, boom! It's like a distinct sound. It's not like when compression, like boom, 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 like floors that were dropping and collapsing. This was boom, and like you felt a rumble in the ground, like almost like you wanted to grab onto something.
Now, let us listen to Lucky Larry. I made a boatload of cash in a couple-month land deal, even though I had the plans redrawn to rebuild in 2000 before the 2001 event. That came from his own mouth. Yes, it did.
And so, next thing you know, we've got the designs of a building. And the first design meeting was in April of 2000. April of 2000. Of 2000. And construction began shortly thereafter in 2002. But we ran into a problem. We couldn't collect the insurance because the insurance companies didn't want to pay. There were 22 insurance companies defending 22 insurers who didn't want to pay their obligations under the policies. And so they took me to court. And I had to beat them in court, the lower court, and then had to take an appeal and win in the upper court. So they owed me $4.5 billion. A new governor was just elected, Elliot Spitzer, an old friend who I knew well. And I said, Elliot, if you don't help me, I'll never collect from the insurance companies. And guess what? He listened, and he said, you know what? You're entitled. I'm going to get you the money. And in 6 months, he got me the $4.5 billion.
Let's listen to Larry Silverstein tell us how he instructed them to pull it. Keep in mind, the offices that were in this building and the Security Exchange Commission investigation and insider trading and all kinds of money, that's just scratching the surface of the follow the money. So let's listen to Larry.
I remember getting a call from the fire department commander telling me that they were not sure they were going to be able to contain the fire. And I said, you know, we've had such terrible loss of life. Maybe the smartest thing to do is pull it. And they made that decision to pull, and then we watched the building collapse.